YouTube, and Twitch. Bringing you the best in local sports since 1978. Featuring the Greenfield Gunner, Mike Edwards, former Maryville Scot, Donnie Moore, former UT coach, Ray Trail, from the Daily Times, Marcus Fitzsimmons, and Troy Prove O'Haron.
Hello, everybody, and greetings from the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. I'm Mike Edwards, along with Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons. And this is the Goatee Sports Page. The college football season kicks off today, and we're going to the whistle blows. And now let's set the lineup card, sponsored by Blunt Partnership. The University of Tennessee Sports Report, sponsored by the Cherokee Group and the Murphy's Bobcat SEC Notebook, lead off with Marcus Fitzsimmons and Donnie Moore. Today we'll discuss the latest UT news and preview the Vols' first football game against Virginia. Donnie Moore will update us on high school scores and news from around the area, and then Mark It Down with Marcus Fitzsimmons, sponsored by Mandy B. Street Realty, features Maryville High School volleyball. The Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week will be in the lineup. Alcoa Tornado football will be on the agenda. Donnie Moore returns to discuss headlines from around the sports world before the Boyd Sports Spotlight shines on the first week of college football. And finally, the Shelter Insurance Bowl Prediction segment closes out today's show. Up now is the SEC Notebook and the Cherokee Group UT Sports Report. And joining me is Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons. Good morning to both of you guys. On a hot Saturday morning for sure.
Man, I'm telling you, if it gets any hotter, I'm going to melt.
I was out in the car yesterday. It's 101 in the shade. Sitting there at 101.
It's awful.
And I'm trying to get some air conditioning out of my car. You know, I can't. Air conditioning won't even work.
Not correctly, that's for sure.
It's crazy, but. You know, we count our blessings because it's a lot worse in other places across the country, for sure.
Certainly could be worse.
People, yeah. All right, you're listening to Mike Edwards and your host for the Goatee Sports Page, and so let's talk some UT news. And Marcus Fitzsimmons, if you'll get over here, we've got kind of a new segment here for the show. I'm going to open this up periodically, if not every week, before we get into the Tennessee end of it. But got a new segment called Let Her Rip.
Let her rip.
Let her rip, buddy. And what
we're going to do that, too.
Yeah, what we're going to do today is we want to talk about what Tennessee fans despise the most. I was going to use hate, but that's a pretty strong.
Yeah.
That's
in today's world climate, we don't like to use that word, do we, Mike?
We don't want to use it. Well, so we'll just go with despise.
There we go.
What do Tennessee fans despise the most? And I'm going to throw this out here, and you guys can respond however you want to respond on what you think. But I'll go down through here. The first one is, and Troy's not here, thank goodness. What do Tennessee fans despise the most? Notre Dame or Alabama? Marcus?
Oh, Alabama.
Alabama. Yeah.
I mean, you can dislike Notre Dame, but Alabama's just pure old-fashioned, that's been sitting there long enough that.
Yeah, and up until last year,
there are people in Knoxville who have a subscription to the Birmingham paper just so they can read the obituaries.
Yeah.
They don't like Alabama.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking baseball. Then Notre Dame might creep into the picture a little bit more.
I don't know. There are a lot of people
Well,
around
they
here
creep in, but not, it doesn't matter what they're playing Alabama in. There's no love there.
No,
now, if you
no
put
love
them, now
lost.
the difference is if you're getting to the national championship game and you had Notre Dame playing Alabama, Tennessee fans are probably going to cheer for Alabama.
I don't know. They might say
they'll
they
support
hope they
the
both
SEC
lose.
team. Well, that's what they'd prefer. But that's not, in the end, they're going to support the SEC team. Generally,
you're right.
Notre Dame or Alabama, Donnie?
I agree with you. I think it's Bama.
All right. All right, let's move on. Nick Saban or Lane Kiffin?
Ooh, boy, that's a toughie.
Oh, they're getting harder. They're going to get harder.
They are.
This is who they dislike?
Yes.
Okay.
Who do UT
sure it wasn't a
UT
wanted
fans
poster.
dislike the most? Nick Saban or Lane Kiffin?
I'm going to say Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
I think maybe that one's cooled a little bit. Basically because he's not been around. But wow, it's just hard because I mean, as soon as I say that, he's going to say something in his press conference this week, and he's going to go right back to the top of the list.
Well, we like Nick a little bit better because we beat him last year, huh? Don't we? Huh?
True. He may
Yeah.
he may have risen in our estimation just a
Yeah.
little bit.
And we're not throwing anything at him.
no.
Fans aren't throwing anything at him. Donnie, who
No.
you got?
I'm gonna go also with Kiffin, but I'm gonna take that a step further, Mike. I'm gonna say it's any Tennessee former head football coach, with the possible exception of Philip Fulmer.
Yeah. Next one, the Gator Chomp. The Gator Chomp.
Gator Chomp.
Or Go Big Blue.
Oh my goodness! Boy,
At basketball games for Kentucky, you know, when they got you down, and they've been quiet most of the time,
Yeah.
and then they know they've got it,
they
and then
start
they
a comeback.
Go
and then
Big Blue.
Oh my goodness!
What do you think there?
Boy, Vol fans despise both of those with a passion.
They do, but I'm going to be of the generation that says it's the Gator Chomp because that one's so much easier to make fun of. Because when you get up on Florida, you can do it right back at them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can't chant "Go Big Blue" back
Especially
in Kentucky.
the ones in the Spurrier era.
Yeah, and it's got that Jaws music in the background.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it makes. Donnie?
Goodness. Like I said,
You like
in the Spurrier era, when they started that Gator Chomp, it just made Tennessee fans' blood boil.
Yeah. Next, Gino Auriemma or John Calipari.
Let me start that one. That's got to be Gino.
I would
That's
think.
got to be Gino, because Coach Summit's he was Coach Summit's arch enemy.
Yeah, and I don't see him on the schedule again this year. He's golf. What do you think, Marcus?
He's been banned from campus.
We're beating John pretty good up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Well, we're
I'm going to agree it's Gino, because usually when you have some of this back and forth between coaches, there's a degree of fun in it and poking fun at the school. Gino's felt personal, and fans took it personal.
yeah,
They did, and they still do.
yeah.
And they don't even play him.
Next one, umpires or referees. Now let me separate that.
Yeah, be clear. Which one?
Referees
Can
would
you
be
separate
more.
that?
Referees would be more in the category of your football and basketball.
Football
Your
and basketball.
umpires, baseball. Now think
Sure.
about Tennessee baseball and what kind of goes on over there and what has gone on
Baseball
with the
and
stadium
lady ball,
with
softball.
the way some of the calls have gone over there in baseball. So, what do you think? Umpires or referees? What gets under UT's fans' skin the most?
I'm going to go with referees. They, and I think it's more with basketball is what kind of tips it over. And that's not knocking on the SEC officials. It's not saying they're perfect either, but I think they can irritate Tennessee fans more than anyone.
Yeah.
I think baseball may have come on with umpires lately because of the popularity, but I think it's also there is more review in SEC baseball than there ever has been. I mean, it used to be you didn't even see a college baseball game on the air. Now every one of them's on there, and they've all got instant replay. So I think that contributes maybe, not that umpires needed anything else to be tagged on top of them, but now you've got fans, computers, and analysts all looking over your shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sure,
Donnie,
Sure.
umpires or referees?
I don't know that you can separate them. It's a fan's some fans at least think it's their job.
Well, the fans have thrown stuff out on the field in both instances,
Sure.
football games and baseball games. What was it, the baseball game in the NCAA tournament? 2 years ago over
yeah,
here.
yeah. I mean, sportsmanship is becoming a lost art.
I guess. Next, losing a bowl game or losing to Georgia. Losing a bowl game or losing to Georgia.
Which
We
would
haven't
they-
beat
which
Georgia
would,
for a
Which
while.
one would Tennessee fans hate more?
Yeah.
Oh, they hate losing. They hate losing
Would
to
they-
Georgia.
Huh?
I mean,
They would rather they would dislike losing to Georgia more than losing a bowl game.
yeah. Given you, I mean, it varies year to year, but
It does.
I mean, last year, I mean, there was some hype, but I think most people had the sense that they got beat by a better team. But if they had lost that bowl game to Clemson, that would have been
Yeah.
whatever.
It's
You,
the,
had, you,
the
you had guys
question-
that couldn't play, and you had guys that had opted out. And
It's the question is which would they despise more, or which should they despise more?
No,
they
which do they despise more?
They would
Losing a bowl game or losing to Georgia?
Well, they would despise more losing to Georgia, but they should despise more losing a bowl game.
well, if it's a bowl game that counts,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
you have to qualify
And this
that.
point, in this point, let's say if you're not in a bowl game that's in the playoff portion of the postseason at this point, then what does the bowl game really matter
well,
to
that,
you?
you're right about that.
Next, War Eagle or Gamecock. War Eagle, these are mascots. War Eagle or Gamecock.
Can we
Which
just
would
not-
they dislike?
Can we put them in a cage and let them fight?
I guess you could. Of course, the Gamecock's got that claw on him. I don't know.
I don't. Well,
Well,
You
they
know-
don't call him cocky for nothing.
Well,
I think you guys are from the group that enjoyed the Auburn rivalry. The Auburn rivalry is kind of
Yeah.
dead.
It's-
From
yeah,
I mean,
it's
if you
it's
went
not
to
a
UT
rivalry
or
anymore.
in the late '80s or early after, Auburn wasn't as big a. They weren't playing them every year, so
But
it
it
wasn't
was,
as big a
and
deal.
it still should be.
and then South Carolina beating Tennessee last
Yeah.
year in football. That really kind of kept them out of the playoffs, or give them a chance at the playoffs
Right.
anywhere. So, Gamecock, y'all like that?
Like I said, they don't call him cocky for nothing.
All right,
They-
the Big Ten or the ACC?
Oh, they hit the Big Ten more.
You think they hit the?
They hit the Big Ten
I
more.
think so.
I
May-
do too.
Maybe not traditionally, but the ACC is. They're not the Pac-4, but they're gradually falling down that hill, and they're teetering, and I don't think they intimidate like they did. And you know, I'm not sure how many times we can say this. Tennessee beat Duke last year, so the fear factor is not quite as there across the SEC as it used to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
It's the big
Okay,
thing.
we'll get off football here. These are just off the cuff. A lot of them around here. Human and non-human. Snakes or rats?
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Snakes or rats? I tell you right now, my wife, you could have an 8-foot snake on the back of the porch, and she would it wouldn't bother her at all. There's a big old Charlie snakes out there on the back porch. Look what we got. Look at him out there. But you put a mouse out there or a rat, and she's hanging from the gutters, buddy. Huh?
I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with rats. I'm going to say rats. I mean, I don't love snakes. I don't hate snakes. I don't want to wake up in bed with one. But, you know, kids, you can play. You have that snake bite club when you're a kid, and you can do stuff like that. There's nobody, like, playing with a rat. That's just, I mean, there's nobody taming that little sucker out in the yard and feeding him stuff.
Yeah. Donnie?
Well,
Snakes or rats?
neither one bother me. I'm not going
Yeah.
to kill either one unless it's a
They-
venomous snake.
They don't bother me either, but
But I'd say
There's
most
venomous
Tennessee,
rats.
No, not that I know of. They carry a lot of disease. I'd say most Tennessee fans would despise snakes over rats.
Last one. Hot summers, like we're having right now, or cold winters. cold winters or hot summers.
You really sat and thought about this, didn't you, Mike?
Yeah,
Yes,
he
I
did.
did.
You
I'm
came
telling
into
you.
He gave this some
you came
thought.
with
He
You
did his
know,
homework.
I'm from the north, but, I've observed these Southerners for a long time, and I've tried my best right here.
Are we just taking the temperature into account, or are we taking
We're-
all the misery that can come with
We're
those
talking
things?
about heat versus cold.
Okay. So we can throw out the driving that happens when it's cold around here. I think Tennessee in general hates the cold more. Me personally, I'd go with that. I can deal with being hot, but 10 degrees outside, I'm not going out to get the paper.
Donnie?
Most Tennessee fans, I would think, would despise the extreme cold versus the extreme heat because it just shuts us down.
Yeah. Hey, let's move on.
Okay,
Let's move
let's
on
do
to
it.
some UT news.
It's a good
Marcus,
segment.
yeah. Lady Vols basketball schedule for the upcoming season is set. They're going to host South Carolina and LSU over at Thompson Bowling at Food City Center. And they've got non-conference games with Notre Dame, Ohio State, Florida State, Indiana, Memphis, and Oklahoma. Now, Marcus, those are their top non-conference games. They got Notre Dame, Ohio State, Memphis, all at home. And
Penny's coming to
And, of
town,
course,
huh?
they've got South Carolina and LSU coming in here.
Yeah.
And then they got Indiana on a neutral site. And then they've got Oklahoma on a neutral site and Florida State away. But they got a lot of big games right here. But there's
Sure
no
do.
Connecticut, there's no Texas, and there's no Stanford, Marcus. But looks to me like a pretty challenging schedule they've put together. What do you think?
I think it's a good schedule, and I don't really have a problem with Stanford not being on there and Texas not being on there. I mean, they play them regularly enough. I don't think they're ducking them, but those playing them every year can get a little bit stale. So
Yeah.
it's good to have a season or two away. But I mean, they kept a very healthy schedule. It's still a very ambitious schedule. So, I mean, they're still scheduling like they want to be seasoned to be in the contention in the postseason.
I think it's a pretty good schedule from a recruiting standpoint. You got Notre Dame and Ohio State from up in the north. You got Florida State, deeper down in the south. And, of course, Indiana's from the north, too, up in there. And then you got Memphis, you got Oklahoma out west. So, and then, of course, your traditional rivals, LSU and South Carolina.
You got to get a sneak peek because they're going to be a conference game in a year.
Right.
That's true.
Last year, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think Kelly Harper's squad only defeated LSU as a top-ranked team. Can you think of another one? I think
that was the only top 25.
Yeah, they beat LSU in tournament. It was a great win when LSU went on to win a national championship, and I think that would have to give them some momentum going into this year. But do you look for them to have, and I'll start with you, Donnie, you look for them to have more success this year in their non-conference and bigger game team schedule, so to speak?
One would certainly hope so.
Yeah.
That one top 25 victory. You certainly look for them to improve this year.
Yeah, eight of these teams, Marcus, that they've got on their schedule this year are in the top 25, in the too early to pick top 25, so to speak. ESPN's way of putting some things out there. So it looks, because you never know until you get into the season and what takes place injury-wise and so forth. But what do you think? With this schedule, will it help Tennessee possibly to make a deeper run in the NCAA tournament if they get there?
It's proven in this program's past that playing good teams, non-conference games helps you. It's always been part of the program to do that. So I think it'd be a detriment for them to not do it. At the same time, it can pound on a coach too, because we said on here last year, and we gave Kelly a lot of grief about some of those losses. But at the same time, I think that was our frustration because they showed against LSU what we knew all along. They had a team that was capable of beating anybody. And it was a matter of the players and the coaching staff getting the right game plan and the players executing and playing together.
And I think they caught LSU at a pretty good time because LSU was sitting there thinking, well, we got South Carolina coming up here in the tournament, next or whatever, and that.
So you're saying
that didn't
Tennessee was
happen.
a trap game?
Well, I think it could have been a little bit of a trap game. It was probably one of the poorer games that LSU played all year, and I think Tennessee had a lot to do with that. Don't get me wrong, but that was their biggest win, so to speak. Thompson Bowling Arena. Let's talk about that a little bit. That was in the news. It's now Thompson Bowling Arena. No, it's the Thompson Bowling at Food City Center. Donnie?
That's true.
That's a lot of
names getting longer and longer.
It is. It's getting longer and longer. I mean, what are you going to do? Play the game, get some groceries, come back home? I don't know. What's the deal? Is this the trend? Are we going to see a sponsor for Neyland Stadium and extend that name? Or are we going to see a sponsor for Lindsey Nelson Stadium and somebody puts up $20 or $40 million, going to add their name on there? I mean, it's happening in pro football.
It is. At least
and those names change.
Yeah,
when
like I said,
when somebody comes in with more money, notice Food Cities is not at the start of this; they're at the end of the name. So, Marcus, somebody else comes in with some more money after this contract runs out. It may be something else. Huh?
Well, I've never really enjoyed the naming rights sponsorship. I mean, pro teams can get away with it because there's a certain degree of
and they
flexibility because teams move, teams go here and there, franchises move, owners change, mascots change. But when you're dealing with the university, that stuff's pretty set in stone. Mm-hmm. And when you've got a building, I mean, Thompson Bowling is 40 years old. It's coming up on it. I mean, it opened in, 86? 87? So, yeah, I can see where they need the money to maybe do some of the things they want to do, but who is actually going to use that name? If you're Food City, how do you convince Food City that this is a good idea to spend money on? Because is anybody not going to call it Thompson Bowling?
No.
Is anybody going to use the full name outside the first part of the broadcast on television, and then the rest of it just let it go? But I am curious if they're going to put in, if you can make it a pickup point where you have your groceries delivered while you're at the game. That would be great because then you come out and your car's full of groceries and you go on home.
Yeah.
That should be a service.
Should.
Or, they could name the football stadium the Piggly Wiggly. And maybe the baseball stadium, what about Kroger Field up there? Or
Kroger's already got a deal with
Field
Kentucky.
That's Kentucky's field.
That's Kentucky's football field.
Oh, well, we could be the grocery school. We could have all grocery names.
There we go.
Grocery Brothers.
Well, I mean, if we're going to talk about somebody that could be in the naming rights for the football stadium, I mean, I don't know how you put in Tennessee Natural Gas, but it seems like that would be the natural. I mean, they've been on the UT network for how long?
A long time.
A long time.
A long time.
Natural gas.
There you go.
Yeah.
You can say it much better than I can.
From a fan standpoint, I think the fans would rather see, and this is the way it was for a long time. They would name the field or the arena or the stadium after a coach or a player, that made a real impact. Down at LSU, I think in the Maravich Center.
Yep.
The Maravich Center down there, and I think it might be the Dale Brown Court.
Yeah.
In basketball. Of course, in football down at LSU, it's the Tiger Stadium. Everybody, but there's, I think from fans, I think they'd rather see their relationship and the memories that they had with a coach or a player than a business. Of course, you don't get any money out of that.
You don't, and coach. I'm sitting here thinking, well, we also don't have a lot of respect for some of those buildings. I mean, Stokely Athletic Center's not even there anymore. It's gone. So what do you do in those cases where they're tearing those buildings down? I guess there is a turnover there. I just don't see it being the best market for colleges to because you're tying yourselves in with a bit of tradition that's very hard to capitalize on. I mean, it's one thing when you're going to open a brand new venue or they're going to just turn over all the rights, but when nobody wants to step on a legendary coach by saying that you're going to poke your name in there with his.
It's true.
Thompson Bowling at Food City Center will have a new center-hung video board, updated exterior and entrances, and new premium spaces and clubs, continued elevation of additional upgrades later on, and they're looking at about, I think I saw about $20 million.
I think they're also going to fix the wheels on the bottom of all those little shopping carts. They're going to let you push you on the concourse now.
Yeah.
So you don't have that broken one that just spins and doesn't do anything.
Yeah. But do you think they'll offer the Food City discount cards for tickets? You know, you show your card, you get a better price on your ticket. I'll bet that doesn't happen.
I'd say you're
I
right.
bet that doesn't happen.
I bet it would be if they could tie that into the concession stand. I think you'd have something there.
UT Stadium renovation phase 1, $337 million. I mean, we're throwing around a lot of money over there. Improved cell phone use. That seems to be the big one.
Yeah.
You know, where you're not going to be able to have your cell phone blocked out from all those people up there. They're going to have hours and whatever to where you can get out on that. And certainly it's the cell phone age. That's great news for fans, isn't it?
I sure is.
Well, I think it's become a requirement of the modern sporting venue is that people want to look at their phones. Don't ask me why. I just want to get a message if somebody's trying to find me and the seats and is lost in the stadium. I'd like to be able to get the text message. The people who want to broadband stream and watch 4 other games while they're sitting in the stadium, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I really don't care if we service them or not.
Yeah. Well, also, they're going to have more fan-friendly things that's going to take place at Neyland Stadium as far as a game day experience. And upgrades to the south side and the perimeter of the stadium are going to be ongoing, widening concourses, expanding gates and entryways, and additional restrooms and concession areas. So if you're historical and nostalgia, they're going to see a lot of old areas that aren't going to be there anymore. It's going to look like a new place. But, guys, by the time you get done with all these over the years and everything, could you almost have a new stadium?
You
Probably.
could. I mean,
I'm just throwing that out there.
I mean, there's parts of that stadium that are 100 years old at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, the entire Riverside, those are dorms from the 30s and 40s, right?
I think when it started in 1921.
Yeah. Does a stadium, does a stadium finally max out? I mean, no, these pro stadiums, they tear them down, every 10 years and build another one. But these college stadiums, I mean, when do you max one out? I mean,
I don't know.
How long are they good for? Huh?
They're good for as long as you're willing to keep putting the money in and fans are still
somebody
putting their butts in the seats.
Somebody feels safe sitting in the upper deck. Is that what you're saying?
I guess so.
You know, I guess when they fall off in the river, they might say, no, you know what, this might be the tipping point.
Might be a good time to move forward. Hey, we'll take a timeout here, and when we return, Donnie Moore will provide high school scores and news from around the area, and veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons joins us with his feature Mark It Down. You're listening to the Sports Page, Blount County Sports Voice, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Hit a grand slam with Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union to win big on savings. On first, member managed funds account. On second, free spend account. On third, certificate accounts with competitive savings rates. Load your bases at tvacreditunion.com.
Join us now.
Federally insured by NCUA. Must use e-statements for no fee option. Some restrictions may apply. Ask for details.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality. For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093.
We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply.
The Blue Tick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Blue Tick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Blue Tick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville.
Welcome back to the Goatee Sports Page. I'm Mike Edwards, and it's time for Blount County Hall of Famer Donnie Moore talk a little bit about the high school scores from last night. And Donnie, it was warm out there.
Oh my goodness!
A lot of these games were delayed.
They were
7:30 and 8 o'clock, and some of them didn't get over till real late. I think it was wise for them to move them back. But we had some pretty exciting games last night around the area, and by golly, I don't know when the last time Heritage and Maryville and William Blount and Alcoa all won, but it's been a while, hasn't it?
It sure has, Mike, and congratulations to all these local teams for putting up wins last night.
Yeah, great night for them. Great start for all of them.
Yeah, indeed. We'll go ahead and get you started with high school football. It's in full swing right now, and hopefully the weather's going to cooperate and cool off just a little bit for next Friday's action. But starting off with the Tornadoes of Alcoa, they hosted Bearden last night, playing a 3A team, playing a 6A team. That's 2 weeks in a row for Alcoa playing a 6A team.
Yeah.
And was no easy task for the Tornadoes last night. The Bearden Bulldogs traveled south from Knoxville and came in to Goddard Field, playing the Tornadoes, and had a great game plan for the Tornadoes last night. Bearden is a big, tough, strong football team, and they're deep. They have a lot of players, a lot of good players. They've had a couple of college commits at running back, and they used them to their advantage. They ran the football all night long against Alcoa, just about wore Alcoa out on their defensive line, and stayed ahead in most of the game, didn't they, Marcus?
Yeah, and I mean, poor Bearden.
Poor Bearden.
They're the best 0-2 team in the state, and probably the most snake bit.
I would
because
agree with
they
that.
have lost to smaller schools 2 weeks in a row, but those are also schools that are likely to be winning their classification in December.
Yes.
and they're both very athletic schools, and Bearden had those games won in both cases.
Yeah.
And just had some outstanding plays made against them in the fourth quarter both weeks.
Yep. Well, the upshot is Alcoa came back on a 99-yard drive with less than 2 minutes to go.
They got the ball with
2 minutes and
4:29.
it was and
it took them about three. It was about a 3-minute drive.
yeah, about a 3-minute drive on a fumble inside the one. Bearden was about to score and fumbled the ball away. Alcoa picks it up and drives 99 yards.
And let's say Bearden didn't even have to be in that situation, because if we back that up 5 plays, Bearden kicked a field goal. Bearden walked off the field.
Put points on the board.
Walked off the field, sent their kickoff team out there.
Yeah.
And we're really lining up to kick off to Alcoa when the coach decided they were not going to take the penalty and they were going to try for the touchdown.
Took points off the board.
And, I mean, I don't think given how it turns out, I don't know that one way it was any righter than the other, but, Bearden put themselves in that situation, gambling for the win, and literally, 24 inches from the win?
And
you can't argue the call. They're going for the win.
Absolutely.
They're going for the win. They're inside the 1 yard line. Go for it. The game's on the line. What's the odds of you coughing it up down there? I mean, really.
That's what
they've got
Donnie
a
and I were
3-point
saying.
lead.
Yeah. You literally would have thought that one of those striking screenwriters was playing with the game somehow, because it was like Alcoa gets the ball inside their own 1 yard line. What are the chances they're going 99 yards to win this thing?
Yeah.
And when do they start playing the theme music at the end of this and start rolling credits and doing stuff like that? Because this is a movie scene.
And to top it off, with 38 seconds to go in the game, the stadium lights go completely black. They went out. 10 o'clock.
And this was weird because it wasn't the stadium power, because the scoreboard was on.
Yeah.
The concession stand lights were on. We had power in the press box. It was just the stadium lights that went out.
Must have been on a timer, and they went out.
I think Bearden had a great game plan going in there and run the ball. Run the ball and run the clock. We've talked about this a lot.
46 times.
You're going to beat Maryville. You're going to beat Alcoa. You can't give them a football. You can't play a wide open game and let them play their game. You got to shorten the game, don't you?
That's right.
And that's what they did.
They ran it 46 times against Alcoa.
Yeah.
And the total was a little bit lower than you expect, but then you have to remember they gave up some huge chunks. They had 2 big sacks that probably took 30 or 40 yards off those totals.
Yeah.
But those backs, they just ran them two plays that they'd carry 2 or 3 times. They'd put the other one in. He'd carry 2 or 3 times. They did not – Bearden, from the time that we kicked off the second half, did not throw a pass until the final drive when they were in desperation.
When they had to.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And Alcoa then, on that last drive, combined runs and throws and went down and put it in the end zone.
Yeah.
But it was a great game.
It was a great game.
And it was a great Friday night, because I know you're going to go through this, but we had a lot of winners here, and it's been a long time since we've had all the guys in town with a win on a Friday night.
And all of them feeling real good going into next week.
That's true.
So break some of those down.
Yeah. Well, moving on, Eagleton at Scott County, another one of Alcoa's opponents later on in the year. Scott County beat Eagleton 31-7. Eagleton's struggling, and as we knew they would, and they will continue to do so as the season rolls on. But they're getting some valuable experience in their.
Got to start somewhere.
In their missing all the seniors that they do. But you're right, they do, and they're putting together a team.
You look at all the college teams, especially pro teams, baseball, football over the years, teams that have gone into expansion. Their first year they've always struggled. You can talk about the Mets. You can talk about the Dallas Cowboys when they first came in. It's a growing process, and that's what they're going through over there. But they'll get it figured out. Come on,
they will. They sure will. Heritage traveled to South Doyle last night, and pinned the Cherokees' ears back 30-20.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Coach Ossavet and his Mountaineers for another victory last night.
Yeah, and that was a tight one. It could have gone either way. I think it was tied 20-20 at one time. So it's a good win for them on the road.
On the road, that's right.
And you're going to talk about William Blount here in a second, but those two teams, they square off next Friday night over at Heritage.
They sure do.
Yeah, with both of them with some momentum.
Battle of the Bell.
Both of them with momentum.
You got it. Greenback went to Whitwell last night. Now, Whitwell is a small school in Marion County, just northwest, about 25 miles northwest of Chattanooga. And Whitwell came out with the victory last night at home, beating Greenback 15-12. So low-scoring game there.
Tough loss for Greenback.
Tough loss for the Cherokees.
But Whitwell's usually a team that, we see them popping up in the quarterfinals and semifinals on a fairly regular basis. So.
Yep, that's true. But, Greenback hopefully will bounce back next week. Maryville hosted Knox Central last night. Knox Central has been a team in the past that has had playoff aspirations and gone to the playoffs. But they got decimated last night by the Rebels. Maryville hung 52 on them. Central only scored 6. So even without Gage Ledoux, Maryville still has weapons.
Had another running back step up. That's what they had said they wanted to see happen. We'll see if he can do that against some of these other teams.
That's true.
But good night, 3 rushing touchdowns. The defense steps up and gets a couple scores. It was a Maryville win, and this Central team wasn't as good as the one they saw last year.
Right, 52-6, Maryville. Seymour hosted McMinn Central last night.
Poor Eagles.
Yeah, I know. They're not doing well. They took one on the chin last night, 44-7, versus the Chargers. So maybe they can get some momentum a little later on in the season. Kings Academy hosted Christian Academy of Knoxville last night, and CAK scored 50 to TKA's 6. Was that a touchdown without an extra point or a couple of field goals?
I'm not clear on that one.
Didn't know. But anyway, CAK came out with the win at TKA last night. And our final game of the evening was at Carnes. Coach Reeves' former haunt over there. And William Blount scored 35 against Carnes. Carnes only came away with 27, so William Blount's victorious again.
Yeah, big win for them.
Huge win for the Govs.
Yeah, didn't have a victory all last season. Now they got 2 under their belts.
That's right.
Their schedule, looks, there's several more games on there that are very winnable. So this looks promising right now when you get out of the gate that fast. And now, they go to Heritage.
That's right.
And that's a rival game, a big game down there, and whoever comes out of that game is going to have Super Mo, heading on into the next week.
Exactly.
But, I look for a great crowd down there at Heritage for that football game with both of those programs
I agree.
On the rise there. Donnie,
I agree.
Before you turn it over to Marcus, I want to mention, I don't know if anybody saw this, but Murfreesboro, Oakland. You would have to say Murfreesboro, Oakland, traditionally one of the top 6A teams in the state of Tennessee.
Always, yeah.
They journeyed last night up to Center Grove in Indiana. I talked about Center Grove last year.
Yeah, you did.
I said, listen, this would be a great school for somebody down here to have a game with. Maryville, Alcoa, Murfreesboro. Well, they must have been listening because they scheduled them. Murfreesboro, Oakland went to Center Grove, Indiana last night, and they were whipped. They got beat 28-10 last night by Center Grove there right outside of Indianapolis. So I think that's great. And Center Grove, the week before, got beat by a state champion from another state. So they've played 2 out-of-state schools the first 2 games, I believe. That being said, Marcus, I think that's great that you have this interstate. I know it's a lot of travel and so forth, but I think it's great to have those games. Mm-hmm. I think we're probably going to see more of it. What do you think, Donnie?
I imagine you're right.
Yeah.
And that's okay. If they got the travel budget to do it, let them go.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's okay.
And
good.
So we can go ahead and kick in there.
I thought that was a big score.
Some of our schools are having to for various reasons, reach out of state to get games.
Yes.
Oakland being one of them.
Yeah.
But Alcoa is another, and they're going to have a team in here from New York next week.
That's right.
Yeah, great.
Tottenville, New York.
And the way I understand it's a dual package. There's 2 schools from New York flying down on a charter flight to Nashville. One of them is playing a private school in Nashville, and the other one's coming to Alcoa.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah, they're going to take a bus and come over to Alcoa and take on the Tornadoes next week.
All right.
So that's the way it is. Well, that's it for your local Mandy B Street Realty local scoreboard. Now I'm going to turn it over to Marcus Fitzsimmons for his feature, Mark It Down. You're listening to WKCE 105.1 FM and 1180 AM, Mid-Century Radio.
Well, thanks, Donnie.
You're welcome, Mark.
That was a nice setup,
Appreciate it.
which is appropriate because we have some people that are used to making some nice setups right here beside
That's
me
right.
here.
Nice sets and digs and all kinds of kills.
We've got Maryville Lady Rebel Volleyball in the house, and coming in just right on time in the nick of things, Coach Chris Haynes is joining us. Coach, welcome in this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And I gotta say, no matter what we do to you this morning, after last weekend, it can't be nearly as enduring. What do we want to call that? It was a test last weekend with the Sunsphere tournament.
It
Oh, wow. Yeah.
it was. Obviously, you guys are talking about out-of-state teams. I mean, we had teams from Kentucky. 2 Georgia teams actually played in the finals. So, just some really, really good volleyball. And obviously, for us, we actually we're one of the partners that schools that helps run that. So, I mean, we're working and playing in it. But for us, it's amazing that we can play and just go down the road and play really, really good competition. I mean, a lot of those, I think the team that won state in Georgia last year. We had some state winners, obviously, from Tennessee and then also from Kentucky. So it's great for the girls, and it's great for us to, because like I said, every year is new kids on the court playing different positions. So it's great for these, and I've got 2 great seniors that are kind of leading us for this year. So they can kind of tell you how it was because we played 3 games in a row and really ran out of gas.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about was, with the environment you have in East Tennessee and with the club level competition going on, when you've got teams from out of state coming in, this is really a chance to test yourself without, I won't say give too much away to other teams in the area, but you're playing some really tough competition with your prep team. That's got to be something you can build on no matter what happens in those environments, because some of those teams coming in are really, really good. You all have got some top-tier programs coming in.
We do, and obviously, I mean, the advantage for us, we're actually going to Louisville here in a couple of weeks to play some of the top teams in the nation that come in and play in Kentucky. But it just enables us, we can sleep in our own bed and then go and play really good competition. It does show you kind of how good volleyball has gotten the last kind of 10 or so years, that we do have those kind of caliber teams coming in and playing here in Knoxville. And then obviously us being able to go and compete at that level and play against those teams and kind of show how good we can be.
Well, if you can work out the deal somewhere, we're good here on the sports page about coming up with ideas for you guys. If you can get it where it's on Labor Day weekend and everybody gets to go to Dollywood afterward, that we're going to toss that out there.
There we go.
That's actually a good idea. I mean, I actually do a lot of, I run some club tournaments at Sevierville Convention Center, so you add the water park in there, and we could maybe get passes for everyone and do a 2-day event, and then everyone could stay for the weekend. And yeah.
I just saw some looks behind you over here that said there was some interest there on the player level about getting to go to the water park.
I'll work on that next year.
Well, go ahead and introduce these two that you brought with you this morning.
So Kiana Stamby, she's actually outside here. She's a senior. She just committed to Kennesaw, so she's going to go play at kind of the Division I level. And Ash is she was our bro last year, kind of steps in that role, and she's obviously wanting to go into college. And they've done a really good job in leading the team. They're kind of our 2 central seniors that are on the court the whole time. So I'm proud of them. Obviously, we had a bit of mix-up. We lost a couple players, but we've really kind of haven't missed a beat. And I'm kind of excited to see kind of where we're gonna head.
Well, let me put them on the spot then.
Yeah.
They're seniors. They can take that, right? I'll start with Ashley, because you gave the look. Coach mentioned that you all played some back-to-back last weekend. How tough was that for this team?
I would say we started off really good at first, and like we had a lot of energy, and like with the more games we played, we got more energy, and like winning, we get excited. But once we get to the last game, we just like kind of started falling down.
Is that where that's where legs give out, the jumps don't go as high, and balls don't get right up in position anymore? But when you have an experience like that, you kind of learn from those too.
Yeah.
So even in the loss, what did y'all kind of figure out about yourselves as a team?
We need to more communicate more when we're on the court and try not to just like fall apart. Like stay together, stay as a team, even when we're making a lot of errors.
And Kieran, what would you say? What did the seniors figure out about this squad?
I think Ashley summed it up pretty well. Like we have the talent to compete with really high level teams, but I think it's just our energy and coming together as a team and like working towards that.
And like I said to Coach, into this season, this is about being ready for the state tournament and getting to the state tournament. How much does playing that level of competition help you when it comes to when you go into a region final or a region semifinal where it's a must-win situation? How does this kind of experience help you there?
I mean, like, there's not going to be anyone bad at state or regionals. Like, that is the highest level we're going to see in high school. So seeing these teams from out of state who play at that level, it just gets us, like, used to it in a way and helps us see, like, the strategies we need to use during state.
Coach, we were talking just right before we brought you on about Alcoa's game last night and mental toughness. How do you we have a pretty good idea when it comes to football, but how do you instill that in volleyball? Because it's such a game of runs and backs and forth, and it seems like things become very pivotal and can snowball very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I would say, I mean, we've got kind of a new lineup, and I like talking about October, I tell the girls, hey, we got to be good in October. I mean, and we've been really, really good the last 3 years and got to go to state. So, and it's tough because you have a new lineup and you're trying to figure out right now we're a little bit high error, and the girls know that. But that doesn't mean that I feel like that we're definitely going to get there. And volleyball, you can make a great play, and I mean, the other side digs the ball over the net, and I mean, so stuff like that happens, especially in volleyball. It's very unpredictable. Ultimately, the best team wins, but I mean, if the teams are pretty even, it's, hey, they got a couple calls, or some stuff happened, and you just got to, I mean, there are going to be situations that you're like, are you kidding me that just happened? But you just, hey, that's the mental toughness. Hey, you know what? We just got to get the next pass. Let's get that ball to the setter. And that's kind of really with volleyball, because it is such a high error, and it's whoever makes the least number of errors wins. So there's a lot of pressure, and if you're making multiple errors, you really have to switch off after that point. Okay, we're on to the next point. And it takes a time, and I could tell the girls, it's like, hey, we got to be able to switch as soon as we can. And hey, we're on to the next point. Let's get a pass here and focus on that. And yeah, it's definitely ups and downs. There's runs. You can beat a team 25-13, and we did it last weekend, and lose 25-13 the next set. So, and that's again, that's good teams, and that's runs. And we always talk about the serve and pass. If we're good at that, we can compete with anyone. So. We kind of have the hitters, and we talk about that, and that's what we do at practice a lot. And even at the highest level, it's the same thing. So we're trying to work on the right things, and hopefully, I mean, our district is really strong again, and that helps too. We never really get a night off, so that's and that probably helps our girls too. I mean, if we can make out a district, we're great. We have a chance of making it to state. So
that's our common theme. If you can make it out of that district about any sport, you're state tournament worthy.
Yeah.
If you can come out of that district.
Yeah.
Let me throw a curveball at the seniors to see how they respond. Is that going to be good? So I'm going to pick on Kieran first. You heard me talking to Coach about the runs and the mental toughness required. You play volleyball a lot. How have you seen that translate to other challenges like school and getting ready for college and those sort of things? Because there's a lot of curveballs that can come along with that. There's where you've got to be flexible. Have you seen your volleyball experience play into adapting to the challenges off the court?
I think so. Just because, just dealing with changes quickly, I don't really know. Just, I guess I'm more comfortable with it now that I've had to play with, different people and, sorry. I've had to play with different people and just, have all these experiences dealing with change and getting used to it.
Ashley, what about for you?
I would kind of say the same thing like Kiernan said, you're playing with a bunch of different people, so you're getting to know new people, and you have to get used to being around them and playing with them because it's a lot different than people that you've played with in the past.
And being involved when you're playing on high school club, you've got a lot to balance. Do you feel like you're going to be pretty prepared going forward because you're able to balance all these different commitments and requirements and still go to class and still make grades and still be ready for college?
Yeah, I think so.
Does Coach help with that? Is she one that requires a lot of you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously for me, I look at it, I want these girls to go on and be successful, human beings, but go on to college and be great in the classroom, on the court. And obviously that's my job. Not just the volleyball X's and O's, but just kind of get these girls confident and going on to college and being just great people. So, that's just part of what I do in the club side, and obviously at the high school.
Well, let me give you a chance to do shout out for high school. Who's at home? When are you going to be home again? And who will you be?
We're actually away this whole week. We we play at William Blount. We play 2 kind of off schools, and then we go to Farragut. Then we go to Lenore City, and then we're actually doing an in-school match in Cleveland, which they'll come to us. So I think our next match at home is the following week, and I'm really not even sure who it is. I think it's Hardin Valley.
I didn't realize I was asking you to look
I
far
know,
ahead.
yeah, no, it's we have, like I said, with the way our schedule is, we have a lot of away games for our district. But we have a pretty tough, kind of tough week next week, ending with kind of a really good team, the team that won state last year. So, which is good, and it kind of helps it. Then the following week we go to Kentucky. After a little bit of a easier schedule here, and then we go to Kentucky and play against all the state champions of all the other different states.
Well, I'll close off with this one. What's the format going to be for postseason this year for district tournament? Are we still looking at a double elimination, or what kind of
it
format
is?
is it
Yeah,
looking
obviously we have 8 teams now, so we there'll be no byes for any of the teams in the past. We've actually got a bye, so one will play 8. So everyone will get to play. It'd still be double elim because it is. Heritage is going to good. Hardin Valley's really good. Farragut's kind of growing. We played Bearden the other night and beat them in 5. So every team is good. They're playing against friends that they've played in clubs, so that's kind of cool for them. But I think it helps. Obviously, you got to be good then, but it's going to be good, and it gives a chance. Hey, a team that maybe did get upset is really the best team, and they get a chance to come back.
So, in time frame wise, you're talking about a month before you got to be ready for this?
Yeah, a month probably.
Okay.
Hopefully, end of September, we're cooking with gas.
So, do you think you can have them, peak performance at that point, have them ready to go?
Yeah, I actually do, because obviously our other outside's a middle. So we've kind of stuck her in there. She's playing 6 rotations. She's a great kid, but she's got to learn the serve receive. Same with Kiernan. She's been a middle. I moved her to the outside last year. She's on the court, 6 rotations, having to be a leader. So that's a lot for her too. So and especially as them being leaders. So it's definitely different for them, but they're doing a great job. And I think the more we're out there, we're more working as a team, kind of because we have the pieces, we cut down the errors, we're going to be a really good team.
Well, we wish you all the best of luck. Thank you for joining us this morning. I know Saturday mornings is not the best time to want to come in and be on the radio, but we appreciate it when you do come in. So thank you all very much and wish you the best of luck down the road.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mike, you ready to turn the page?
Yep. Thanks, Marcus. Time to turn the page and announce the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Your newspaper? That's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times.
Dunkin' has what you need to conquer the day. So if you want to go from, I don't got this, to, I got this, well, then get this. A bold, smooth espresso drink from Dunkin'. Like a layered velvety caramel macchiato, a rich chocolatey mocha latte, or a creamy non-dairy oat milk latte. Because this day isn't going to conquer itself. No, you're going to do that. Take a sip of You Got This with Dunkin' Espresso drinks. Order ahead on the app plus earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality. For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew, and now it's time for the Goatees Sports Page Player of the Week segment, sponsored by Anderson Lumber Company, where quality service is always a priority. Proudly serving Blount County for over 75 years. Marcus Fitzsimmons, we've got Alcoa football in here this morning, and they had a tough game last night, right down to the wire. An outstanding Bearden team who's played 2 outstanding teams. We've talked about that a little bit off the air this morning, early and on the air. But in the past, there's been talk about Alcoa's schedule and why they don't play somebody a little bit better than just people in their district and their classification. Well, you can put all that to rest. They're playing the toughest, with no doubt, the toughest 3A schedule in the state of Tennessee, and maybe the toughest schedule all the way around. And another big win for them last night.
Yeah, I thought it was, and Donnie and I were talking about it earlier, and I even made the joke last night along the scheduling line, looking at it, was, it's 100 years of Alcoa football. This may be the toughest schedule ever in those 100 years.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we've got, a couple of the guys that are actually able to get up and move this morning after that slugfest last night. Coach Brian Goss has joined us. He's brought Elijah Ken and Eli Owens. Coach, usually I start with you, but at this time, I want to start with Eli because of the play that ended this game really last night. The 4th down sack of the quarterback. How big was that? Because you have all this stuff that was going on with not only trying to hold on for this to win this game, but coming off of the 10-minute sitting in the field in the dark after the lights go out. Just talk about the defense and what you all came back on the field knowing you had to do with those last 2 downs.
I mean, you know, that when the lights went off, you know, it was almost beneficial. Oh, hey, we good?
Yeah,
you
good.
good? All right,
Yeah, you good.
Cool. No, when the lights went off, you know, it was almost like a second halftime, and you know, it allowed us to recuperate, you know, rejuvenate, you know, get everything in line, get our play calls right, and really go out attacking, try and win the game. So, but no, Coach Nix basically, he said, I won't go into exact detail, but he basically said something along the lines of, "You're one of the best players in the country, you know, go make this sack." And I said, "Okay, Coach, I got you." And, you know, thankfully I did just that. So,
Confidence, Coach.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, just watch them play and watch them work. All the guys really. I mean, confidence is bred when you practice hard and when you do things right in the off season and when you mentally and physically prepare correct. I mean, you should have confidence. That's the way they've worked. That's what they've earned.
And I heard it from several players last night after the game mentioning when we asked them about, you know, mental toughness to get through and pull out this kind of a win, was the phrase that the coaches use that they'll break before we will.
Yeah.
I think this team kind of proved that. I mean, I don't know that there's a more dire situation than being on, you know, first and goal and getting ready to give up a touchdown that's going to put the game out of reach, and coming back from that situation by going the length of the field.
Yeah, you know, that we'll break, you know, they'll break before we break. You know, that's a cultural thing that's been in place since, you know, when Coach Rankin came and him and Coach Nix got together. You know, that's been part of our culture for a long, long time. You know, they'll break before we break. I've heard it, you know, in 16 years. I've heard it a lot of times, and you know, it's more than just a mantra. Like it's an approach to the way that you do things, and you know, like I said, if you practice right and you prepare in the off season right, and you challenge the guys all the time, even with, you know, little small details, then it's not just a mantra. They will break before you do, because, you know, you've got the confidence to know that, you know, that you're going to be able to finish. And sometimes, you know, the other team does some things that makes that really difficult. You know, West last year, I thought, you know, we told them the same thing in that game. You know, they'll break before we did, and it didn't quite go that way. And then there were other games where, you know, we told them that and it went exactly that way. But it's the confidence and the knowledge to know that if you're putting in the preparation and the work, then, you know, almost every time they're going to go before you do.
So you all get the break, and I'm going to talk to the guys about getting the fumble recovery. But offensive coaching staff, I mean, I don't think you have in the playbook, here's what we do when we have to go 99 yards in 2 minutes to win the game.
Yeah.
So what was kind of the thought process of, was it just went each play sort of thing, or was it like we want to do this and this and this drive?
Well, you know, going into it, I really felt like we needed to put the ball in the air. We were short on time. You know, we felt like that we needed to generate as much time as we could, because, you know, if they got the ball back again the way they were running it so well, may not get another shot at it. You know, so we wanted to make sure that we were as productive as we could be. And then there were some plays that we really wanted to run during the game that we hadn't gotten to yet, because, you know, had a couple turnovers early, and you know, just some bad luck things happened. And Bearden, you know, they were hard to break long plays on. You know, you could get about a 7 or 8 yard clip on them, but that was about as big a play as you were getting. And so we were just going to, you know, kind of take them one play at a time. And, you know, I thought we handled all that really well at the end. And it's not the first time that an Alcoa team's driven 99 yards in a big game. I mean, there was a state championship game a few years ago where, you know, we got the ball and drove it 99 yards and ate up 9 minutes of the clock against CPA. So, I mean, you know, our guys aren't afraid of that stuff. I mean, heck, if you're gonna walk around and say they'll break before we break, you better be able to put your put your hand on the ground on a 99-yard drive to win the game. I mean, you better be able to do that if that's what you're going to walk around and say.
Elijah, what was the team's reaction when you realized that you've got the ball back, that Bearden didn't score, they fumbled, and that you all have the ball and have the chance? What was the reaction on the sideline for that?
I think I spoke to you about this last night. It was kind of just like an energy change. For us, it was kind of sort of, we were a little down and out. We obviously hadn't given up yet, but a lot of things were negative, and then when they fumbled and we got the ball back, it's just like the light started shining through and everybody started to believe, and then, we kind of just came together as a team and rallied together and tried to put together the best drive we could.
And Coach mentioned, you start off this drive, you're letting the passing game kind of carry, get you off the shadow of the goal line, but you end up in a situation where it's, 3rd and 5. You get 4 yards, it's 4th and 1. Coaching staff decides to go for it, gives it right back to you, 4 yards again. That's got to feel good to pick up that 4th down in that kind of a situation and knowing that these guys believe that you're going to do it just again. Because Bearden had no doubt where that ball was going.
Yeah, for sure. I think I appreciate everybody having confidence in me like that to give me the ball on a big play like that, a 4th and 1. But, in that situation, I'm really going to do anything I can to get 1 yard. It doesn't matter if 3 guys hit me in the backfield or what. So, I guess that, not to sound cocky, but I think I've shown that multiple times throughout my high school career. And, just try to get it done when I can.
So, Coach mentioned this, and this was an observation I had from seeing you all at Ravenwood versus seeing you at Bearden. Those plays that were going for 20 yards against Ravenwood were not going for 20 yards last night. That Bearden defense was pretty rough, weren't they?
They were. We were all three talking about this before we actually came on. I think Ravenwood, their secondary, they're a good football team. I think their secondary is a lot more spread out, and they don't really pursue the ball like Bearden does. Bearden is a very, they're coached well. They're disciplined, and they have a good secondary, and they all collapse on the ball. I would get the ball, I would see a hole, and it would just collapse as soon as I got through it. And then, so you just have to take advantages where you can and try to make the most of it.
Well, Eli, we couldn't bring you in without talking about the catch at the end. Now, if by chance somebody in Blount County has not heard about the play yet,
there might be a couple.
There might be one or two. There might be somebody just getting back from Whitwell on that trip. I don't know, but you make the catch that proves to be the game-winning touchdown. But you all called timeout right before that play. Was that to set up what happened, or is that just to take a breath and kind of regather yourselves?
To be honest, that's not a me question. That's a Coach Sweetland question. But I think it was more of to give everybody a break because we had just been driving down the field. Elijah had just had like 3 runs in a row, one of them being that 4th down conversion. We were running power and just trying to really go after them, get little yards, really try and break them down. I mean, they were tired, we were tired, and, Coach Nix, Coach Sweetland, Coach Gossett over here, they could see that. And, I mean, it was what, 3rd, 2nd down and 8. So, if I'm Bearden, I'd be expecting to run, timeout, let us get our breath back together and come out, try and run the ball down your throat all the way to the end zone because, that's Alcoa football. And Coach Sweetland, noticed how they were playing and noticed that play was going to work. So, I mean, it's a play that we've been running for years. But the problem is that the corner, the corner didn't. Their corners had been dropping all game. He didn't this time. So, I originally thought that Cody was going to run the ball. So I turn around, I start blocking for him. Corner sheds me. Cody, thank God, stayed behind the line of scrimmage and was able to find me after I after the corner shed my block, and, luckily I was right there at the goal line and was able to fall in. So.
And you mentioned him, and it was something that was just really, really impressive. Twice, I think, I noticed it in the game where he has the mobility to get outside and roll, and it seems like he could roll forever. Like, he just keeps on going and doesn't seem to get rattled by defenders closing in. He just sat right there and waited, and when you were there, put the ball right on the money.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I mean, Cody, he's an exceptional player. He's a great quarterback. He's a great friend. He's a great kid to be around. And it's not like he's a nobody. He's a Division I prospect. And I think, him coming to our team this year was, great the way, he just kind of fell into our arms. And I couldn't be happier. But at the end of the day, you've got to be able to drop him a little bit and play some football. So, Cody, the offensive line, the receivers, Brandon Witten had like 10, 15 big plays. Elijah over here, I really thought it was just an entire team effort. The defense played outstanding, held that explosive Bearden team. That's all they had been talking about, to 13 points. So I really got to put everything on the entire team from last night.
So we've seen that you can bring down the quarterback, you can catch from the quarterback, you can block for the quarterback. What's your favorite part of the game? If we said this is what's going to make you happy, is it going to be knocking somebody's head off, or is it going to be making that touchdown catch?
I think it depends on the moment. There are some times where you just get in, like, you just zone out, right? And you get in a mode where all you want to do is go hit somebody. And, when that happens, or when you need to set a tone early. So, like, when that happens, I like blocking. But I think, when you're on defense, it's 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15, you're going to want that sack, or you're going to want that TFL. And then, any other time, big play, a little 30-yard, reception, something like that, an explosive play would be great. So I really think it just depends on the moment in time.
Elijah, I'm going to ask you something similar, because we tend to focus on what you do carrying the ball, but you're also a pretty good defender when they let you have time on both sides of the ball. What's the favorite part? Is it the running over people, or is it the getting around people? What's the fun thing? Is it pulling away from them or running over them?
I would kind of agree with Eli, but at the same time, I've played running back ever since I was 5 years old, playing flag football. So I have a love for offense, but I've gained a love for defense playing for Coach Nix. He's kind of just opened my eyes to the game a little bit, and all the things that can be done when you're an athlete. So I want to play. I would probably rather play defense in college, but if I don't get that opportunity, then I'll try to make the best of what I can. But I think it's fun playing offense. I love scoring touchdowns, love running the ball. Don't love it so much when I'm dying, but you got to do what you got to do. So I would probably agree with Eli. It just depends on what the moment holds.
Coach, you got me. These answers, these guys are great. I mean,
oh yeah.
Beyond just what they can do on the field, you all have turned around, and I don't think anybody's ever around here knows anything about this team from New York.
Yeah.
That's got to be a bit of a challenge for this staff to. I mean, I guess some of the same film sharing apps are out there and work, but this is a totally different brand of football.
Yeah, it's a unique situation. They're coming down here. They're from Staten Island, New York. It's a school of about 3,500 kids, but I think they're bringing 45 on their charter plane that they're coming with. They started practice Monday. New York's got a little different situation, so they started August the 20th.
Wow.
So this will be their first football game, and our third. And I think we were talking, before we came on air about just, it's hard to really gauge kind of what they are and who they are, because you're looking at 2 films from last year, and you don't know really what the opponent looks like in comparison to some of what we're used to. But they would be a 6A school here if they, if it was here in Tennessee. So just another, another big opponent, and just another good chance for us to continue to grow and develop. And we got lots of stuff. We got lots of stuff that we got to get better on, as a group and as a team. And like I said, then there's another challenge the week after that. So, like I said, I think it's a good thing that people should come see. It's not every day a team from New York comes, all these miles, and you don't come this far because you're not any good, or you don't come this far because you're not coming down here to try to win. You're coming down here for a purpose, and so I hope everybody comes out and sees it, because I think it's going to be an interesting thing.
Coach, do you think this is a trend in high school football, that we're going to see more of this, games among schools with other outside of the state? They do that in other sports. Basketball goes a lot of times to Alabama or Georgia or Florida, and baseball goes to Florida, in the spring. We're going to see that. Oakland went to Indiana last night, played Center Grove.
Yeah,
2 outstanding teams there. What do you think about that?
Lipscomb played Saraland, Alabama last night. Macaulay played Woodward Academy out of Georgia. Yeah. So, I think you're going to see a lot more of that with your higher-end teams. The guy that got us hooked up with Tottenville, he called us and said, I'm an agent that works with teams who like to travel. And so basically he had it set up, and we kind of had an open week at the same time they did. And so, in our state, there's going to be some of this for your higher-end teams, because the regions are so small. There's too many classifications. And so, you got a region with, 4 or 5 teams in it, and then a school like Alcoa has to try to find 6 out of conference games, and there's not a whole lot of people here local that are going to do that. And so, we're going to be dependent on people from out of state probably, and we're probably going to have to travel at some point like that. It's probably a whole separate show to talk about the good and the bad, but we're really just happy that our kids get to play 10 games.
It's not a bad thing, because you have to travel, to win the state championship if you're there. So it wouldn't be bad to go on a trip, It'd be good experience to get you ready in that mode, an overnight deal, like you have when you're playing for the state or as you go through the playoffs.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some advantages to be gleaned from it, but I do think you'll see more and more of that. And like I said, there was probably 5 examples last night, of something like that happening. So like I said, I'll be interested in it, and I hope everybody comes out and sees it. It's a good, it's a neat thing. I think the furthest team away that Alcoa's ever played was there was a team in Florida that Alcoa played in the 60s. They went down for a bowl game and played in Gainesville, Florida. So
wow.
So this will be kind of the team from the furthest away that Alcoa's ever played.
Another footnote in that record book.
Yeah.
Coach, we appreciate you coming in. We appreciate the guys getting up, because, like I said, that was a late start, late game, and a little bit of delay. And, I hope Alcoa pays the light bill next week and keep them on.
Boy, Josh Stevens going to be tore up now.
He just came up 38 seconds short. It wasn't like it was the whole quarter.
Wow.
It could have been worse. It could have been that could have gone out when the ball was down on the 1 yard line, and it could have gone out, or when you were driving down for the score.
I'll say this: it was 10 minutes, and it was handled very well by Alcoa, by the administration, and it was not like some of the power outages we've seen in some of the places Alcoa has played, where they mysteriously went out when you all went ahead on the road, and suddenly Irwin's got a power outage and stuff like that goes on.
My first year coaching, when I was out at Heritage, we had a power outage the week we played Oak Ridge. It was the week of 9/11, and we had a power outage in the middle of the game. So, believe it or not, that's not the first time that's ever happened to me. So,
well, like I said, we appreciate you coming in, and wish you all the best of luck next week against Tottenville.
Yes, sir, Tottenville.
And keep on doing what you're doing. It's working. So we wish you all the best luck down the road.
Thank you. And like I said, we want everybody to come out and see us, man. It's going to be a fun atmosphere next Friday with Tottenville coming into town. We want to show them sort of what Blount County and the South's all about with football. So
All right, Mike, I think we can go ahead and turn the page if you're ready.
Okay, Mark, it's time for a break. When we return, it's Sports Headlines with Goatee Sports Page veteran Donnie Moore and the Boyd Sports Spotlight. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply.
Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093.
Hit a grand slam with Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union to win big on savings. On first, member managed funds account. On second, free spend account. On third, certificate accounts with competitive savings rates. Load your bases at tvacreditunion.com.
Join us now.
Federally insured by NCUA. Must use e-statements for no fee option. Some restrictions may apply. Ask for details.
The Blue Tick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Blue Tick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Blue Tick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service. For over
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for this week's Sports Headlines with Blount County Sports Hall of Famer Donnie Moore. So, Donnie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, my friend. All right, let's get to it. Reports say Cleveland is sending former Vol quarterback Josh Dobbs and a 2024 7th-round pick to the Arizona Cardinals for a 2024 5th-round draft pick. The Cardinals' current quarterback situation is unclear, with Kyler Murray still recovering from a 2022 torn ACL, and he's not ready for Week 1. The battle so far has been between Colt McCoy and Clayton Tune. And now, with the addition of Dobbs and the fact that Card's OC was with the Browns last season, maybe we could see the VFL as QB1 in AZ, at least until Murray heals up.
Hey, he's been kind of all over the place.
He has, hasn't he?
He's been with, Pittsburgh, and then he was with the Titans, and you got the Titans traded him off, and now here he is.
Now he's in Arizona.
Now he's in Arizona.
At least he's got some good weather out there.
Is this it for him? Is it do or die now that he's out there
You
in
know,
Arizona?
this may be his last chance. But he may be quarterback one.
Yeah.
We'll see. I hope so.
And if,
I hope he does
if
well.
it doesn't work out, I mean, there's plenty of nuclear reactors out there.
You got that right.
I mean, he's got a job. He's got alternative job options right there.
He's brilliant. That's for sure.
But, Marcus, if you're a college athlete, a high school athlete, or a pro athlete, you want to make your mark.
Yes, you do.
And Josh, he hasn't made that mark in the professional end of it right yet. Huh?
No, and I think he sold some teams on what his upside could be if they ever gave him the chance with the game he played for the Titans last year, where he stepped in with 4 days of preparation and is starting for them. And I felt like he showed some things there that if you gave him the situation and gave him the time to develop with a starting lineup, that there's some things he could do that would be very successful in the NFL.
Yeah.
But you've also he came out at a time when you had some very talented quarterbacks in that draft class, and there have been some very talented quarterbacks since then.
Yep.
So he's, there's some people that can do all the things he does a little bit better. But he's still like the guy, if you want to take out the best insurance policy you have, there's no better second teamer you can have out there.
You're right. He's a great backup. We'll see how he does. Well, Kobe Bryant, considered by some to be the greatest L.A. Laker player of all time, had both his number 8 and number 24 jerseys retired by the team when he retired in 2016. But the Lakers are now planning an even greater tribute to the legend. On Thursday, it was announced that a bronze statue of Bryant will be unveiled at Crypto.com Arena on February the 8th, 2024. Great tribute.
Now, the question being, to pick on what Mike said earlier, if they decide to move that arena and build a new one at some point, do the statues go too, or do they leave those and just get knocked down with the building?
I'd say they'll take them with them. Crypto.com Arena. Crypto.com.
Sounds like something out of Superman.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Well, at this point, that sounds like a building that might just disappear.
Yeah, it could. Yeah.
Washington Nationals starting pitcher Steven Strasburg is tentatively planning to announce his retirement from his playing career, and will make the announcement next month. Strasburg, 35, last appeared in a major league game on June 9th, 2022. He made only 5 starts in 2021 and 2 starts in 2020. Having dealt with arm injuries throughout his entire 13-year career, Strasburg has finally been diagnosed this past June with severe nerve damage. Strasburg will end his career having played only for the Nationals. He was the number 1 overall draft pick in 2009, a 3-time All-Star, finished 3rd in Cy Young voting in 2017, 5th in 2019, and 9th in 2014. He led the league in strikeouts in 2014, wins and innings pitched in 2019. Also in 2019, he was World Series Most Valuable Player, going 2-0 with a 2.51 ERA in 2 starts. In regular season play, Strasburg's record is 113-62. That's second in Nationals history. He had a 3.24 ERA, 1,323 strikeouts. That's a franchise record. In 1,470 innings pitched. To this point, Strasburg has made approximately $250 million during his playing career. That's a lot of money.
It is, and there are fans who would argue he didn't earn all of it.
Well, he's not played a whole lot, but apparently he's played enough to,
it's
to do a lot of, set a lot of records.
I have a weak spot for the Nationals and the Orioles both, and I won't say they're a team, but I was excited when they got Strasburg, and I think there was a lot of investment made in him.
Yeah,
he's
definitely.
just never been healthy. They've had like 3 seasons where he was healthy.
Yeah,
but it did not seem to take much that should have been minor that always seemed to get aggravated and never heal with him. And now we have a reason why.
Yeah, we do.
To a degree. And he's just such a talented player. He really is. When he can do what he wants to do.
Great potential anyway.
He was great when he could do when he could do what he wanted to do with his body wise.
Sure.
But he just wasn't able to do it that much during his NFL career.
Apparently it's going to be
MLB
over.
career.
Yeah. L.A. Angels two-way phenom Shohei Ohtani left the game after his start on the mound Wednesday against the Reds with what the team called arm fatigue. Hours later, it was reported that Ohtani has a tear in his UCL and will not pitch for the remainder of the 2023 Major League season. After being removed from Game 1 of the doubleheader in the second inning, Ohtani returned to the Angels lineup as the designated hitter for Game 2, going 1 for 5 with a double and a run scored and a strikeout. The Angels were swept by the Reds in Wednesday's doubleheader and this week's series. They also lost star Mike Trout to a wrist injury to the injured reserve just 1 day after he returned to the team from a 7-week absence. Played 1 day after being on the IL.
You want to talk about snake bit team?
Wow, I'm telling you.
And one that has way too much depending on one super player. But
yeah.
I mean, your biggest concern is he may not be able to pitch. Never mind that he's the AL home run leader right now.
Yeah. He can still bat.
He's still the bulk of your offense.
But he's not going to pitch.
But he's not going to pitch. Oh, my goodness.
Really?
You would hope that they've got some other pitching options.
And the Trout's not going to swim for the rest for a while now again. Well, Bill Vukovich, Mike, we talked about this Wednesday at the meeting. Bill Vukovich II, part of the storied three-generation Vukovich family of drivers, died Sunday, according to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He was 79. Vukovich had an 18-year racing career from 1965 to 1983, competing in the USAC Championship and the IndyCar Series. Out of 12 attempts at the Indianapolis 500, his best finish was second in 1973, and in 1968, after a 7th place finish, he was chosen as Rookie of the Year. He, along with his father, Bill Vukovich Sr., and his son, Billy Vukovich III, were one of only 4 families to have 3 generations of drivers in the Indy 500, along with the Andrettis, the Brabhams, and the Foyts.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a sad loss right there.
Yeah, it was.
He had some real shoes to fill. You know,
Sure
his
did.
father won the Indy 500 twice, and they were comparing him a lot in his early years there at Indianapolis to his dad and so forth. 73, he finished second. That was a rain-shortened race.
Right.
So if it went 500 miles, that would have probably been his best shot to win in the Indianapolis 500. But that family was originally from Fresno, California, and of course Bill Vukovich led the 500 in 52 with 9 laps to go, and his steering failed. 53 he won it, 54 he won it, and 55 he had a whole lap lead on the entire field after 50 laps.
Wow.
And he had the fatal accident on the backstretch. But that family had some tragedy. You know, he lost his dad.
Right.
I think he was very young, maybe 6 years old, somewhere around in that neighborhood. And then he lost his son in a sprint car race. So sad to lose him, but a great racing family out there. And you talk about statues, they've got monuments and so forth in Fresno for the Vukovich family, giving them what they've done to automobile racing. And
Well
so
deserved.
forth. But, yeah, and he lived in Indianapolis for a long time, after he retired from racing. And then within the last 10 years, I guess he moved back out to California. But
good deal.
A lot
Well
of great
deserved.
stories there.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
Watkins Glen International Raceway pretty much belonged to William Byron on Sunday. Byron led 66 of the 90-lap event and beat pole sitter Denny Hamlin to the checkered flag by almost 3 seconds. Christopher Bell was third, followed by A.J. Allmendinger and Ty Gibbs. With 15 of the 16 playoff spots accounted for and the regular season crown still vacant, today's race at Daytona should give us both. Stay tuned. Playoffs are coming up. Well, that's it for this week's sports headlines. Now let's bring the Boyd Sports Spotlight into sharp focus. Back to you, Gunner.
Yeah, this is Mike Edwards, and it's time to bring in Marcus Fitzsimmons and Donnie Moore. And let's talk a little bit of UT football. Next Saturday, number 12 Tennessee will take on unranked Virginia in Nashville. Game time is slated for high noon. Marcus, my first question is Tennessee's favored by 28 points, so what excites you about this game? Now, before you answer that question, if it was a basketball game, I'd be full of excitement. You know, Virginia, having won a national championship a few years back, I'd be old. But 28-point favorite going in against a Virginia team, what's...
I'm going to pull out my good idea box again. I think when we do these things where we're having these neutral site, if you can call it that, games in Nashville like this, let's tie it in. Let's have like one of those... it's not a game, but it's an exhibition practice. Let's do that with the men and women's basketball teams before the game. Maybe they could do it in the parking lot and do it with some outdoor court or something. But let's tie this in and get some of the teams at both schools involved and turn it into a real festival activity here.
There we go.
But because that would help my interest,
yeah,
honestly, in this game. I think your storylines are the same as we talked about 6 months ago. How good is UT going to look on offense? And how is Virginia coming back from what happened to their team at the end of last season?
Yeah.
Those two things are going to be dominating as to what we talk about and what we're looking for. And we can pretty much count that the pregame is going to have a clip from Bazooka Joe's performance at the Peyton Manning camp, where he threw the thing out of the back of the end zone from like the 20-yard line. So I mean, we can talk about it. We just don't know what exactly we're going to get, but we know what the storylines are going to be.
Donnie Moore, after the dust settles and this game's over with, we look back. Is it going to be? Did Tennessee look as good as the hype? Is that what people are going to be thinking when this is over?
That's going to be on people's minds for a while anyway. But then they're going to settle down and just be Tennessee fans again. I hope.
Yeah, Virginia. Let's talk about them a little bit. They were 3-7 last season. They didn't play their last two games because of the tragedy they had there in Charlottesville.
Yeah,
it was Tony Elliott's first season. They only returned 9 starters. 6 of those starters are on defense. Their offensive line is inexperienced. Their receivers are inexperienced, and they're breaking in a new quarterback. The defense, as we said, that's 6 starters back. They're ranked 93 nationally going into the game, 93, and they're picked dead last in the ACC. Marcus, what's this team's motivation going in playing a number 12 Tennessee team?
No, this is their bowl game. This is us against the world.
I guess.
Material. This is all those little storylines. I don't think any of them are going to play out to Virginia's success, but you have a lot to play for, and you have a lot to, in just the scheme of things, you're an ACC team playing an SEC team. You're a border state with that school you're playing. Mm-hmm. You are rivals in other sports. But Virginia is basically down at its bedrock. It's where Tennessee was 4 years ago. I mean, and everybody's counting them out. This could be a resurging year for Virginia, and this could be where it starts. This could be their pick game from Tennessee was 2 years ago, where they just played them tough and lost.
Well, what concerns me about Virginia, I think in order to beat Tennessee, you got to keep the balls off the field. And they don't have an experienced enough line to run the football and to run that clock.
That's true.
I'm saying it's going to be real difficult for them to keep Tennessee's offense off the field next Saturday.
It will. they're going to have a lot of struggles.
Yeah.
Theoretically, they're going to have a lot of struggles. But one thing you do know is when you're replacing that many guys and you're looking at where Virginia was, maybe you've got an improvement at that position. Every time you have a lot saying, oh, well, they've only got 9 starters back on the whole team. Well, were those 15 guys that great? I mean, sometimes you're getting an upgrade even though you're losing a starter. So it just depends. We don't know. Virginia's going to have a very different look over the next few seasons.
Joe Milton, it's been a couple of seasons anyway before he started a game at the beginning of the season. And the games that he started in, I think Pittsburgh was the one that, put him out, and Hendon Hooker, took over in that game. But this season, all the spotlight seems to be on Joe Milton. Does the success and failure of this Tennessee team starting against Virginia rest on his shoulders?
Oh, no, Josh Heupel offense, yes.
Yeah.
That quarterback is essential. Yeah. And we saw that when he struggled versus when they made the change to at quarterback with Hooker, how much success he had. That the entire premise of what Tennessee does is based upon a very fast-moving offense, which means you have to have a very efficient quarterback who understands what he's supposed to do. So, yeah, everything sits on him.
Yeah, Donnie Moore, Milton's going into this year with a lot of hype. He's going in with a lot more hype than, of course, Hendon Hooker went in when he first started his game and career here at UT. But how long, you got Virginia, you got Austin Peay the second game, 2 games that you would think that, they're not going to be, they should not be close. They should not be close.
Shouldn't.
How long do you leave Milton in there before you put Nico in there and give him some game experience? I know back in the coach's mind you're thinking, hey, here's a guy that's got all this national hype going into this year. We need to run his statistics up, give him a chance to, if there's any Heisman possibilities or other awards that would go to a quarterback there. What's the decision there? Do you just say, hey, listen, we're going to go with him for so long and then we're going to take him out and we're going to put Nico in there? What do you think? What's the feelings going in on that?
I think you've got to leave him in enough to get him well adjusted to being a starter, and to play in his game. But I think you've got to put Iamaleava in and let him get some experience. I'd say 3 quarters.
Yeah,
and no more.
I think against Virginia, it's a matter of until you feel comfortable that he is comfortable.
Yeah, I agree.
And maybe you don't.
It may not be a set.
Maybe
time.
you don't see Nico that against Virginia, just depending on how that game plays. Against Austin Peay, I would be disappointed if Tennessee didn't play Nico almost the entire second half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because they're just coming off a season where they proved how important it is to have a backup quarterback that can immediately step in. And you don't get that by not putting them on the field.
Yeah. Virginia, as we mentioned, is coming in after the tragic shooting that they had last season where they didn't play their last 2 football games. Marcus, how big a factor is that going to be from a motivational standpoint for Virginia? You know it's going to be mentioned several times on the pregame show and during the game and so forth. How big a factor is that for them? Are we going to see them playing well above what we're seeing here on paper as far as what they've got back on offense and defense?
They have that potential, and I don't know all the things that they're doing to honor the players from last year. I don't know exactly how they're going to try to handle it, but I would guess that by the end of this season, there are going to be members on that team who are just going to be worn out talking about it. Because it's not just going to be Tennessee in the opener. It's going to be every market they go to in the ACC this year. That's going to be their storyline.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons it was a consideration last year. It wasn't just the health of the players and the students and their mental status after that, but they were just tired of answering questions about it, repetitive questions about it. So that's going to be a factor for Virginia all season. That's going to be a wear that nobody else is going to have.
Donnie, I want to ask you about the goals for this Tennessee team and associated with all the hype and what happened the last couple of years and how this program's come along. Are we at the point with this team where we can legitimately sit down and say the goals are these: win the SEC East, win an SEC championship, go to the playoffs, win a national championship? Are we at that point where we can realistically sit this team down and say, these are our goals, these are our 4 goals for the season?
We can always use those as goals, Mike. But I'm not sure they're going to happen this year. But to use them as goals, yeah, we can.
Marcus, are we at that point? Because, in the past we might say, well, we're looking to win 8, we're winning the 9, we're looking to have a good year, we're looking to go to a bowl game, we're looking to win a bowl game. But these weren't really on the table. I mean, they're in the back of your mind, but they're not on the table.
I think every coach talks like they are on the table because you're not going to tell your team, I don't think you can do this. But I think when they're talking about it this year, when they're having those meetings, they're talking about it with the belief that, yes, we could do that, but, yes, we would need some things to go our way.
Yeah, definitely.
I think having the goal to be competitive with Georgia in the East and have done enough that let the chips fall where they may, we're still in the running to play in the playoffs, even if we lose to Georgia and don't go to the SEC championship game. That's totally in the realm of possibility. That was the Alabama scenario last year, and that's not a bad scenario to be in.
Yeah. All right. Hey, it's time for a break, and when we return, we'll present the Bowl Prediction segment. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at StevensonTire.net.
Your newspaper? That's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times.
Dunkin' has what you need to conquer the day. So if you want to go from, I don't got this, to, I got this, well, then get this. A bold, smooth espresso drink from Dunkin'. Like a layered velvety caramel macchiato, a rich chocolatey mocha latte, or a creamy non-dairy oat milk latte. Because this day isn't going to conquer itself. No, you're going to do that. Take a sip of You Got This with Dunkin' Espresso drinks. Order ahead on the app plus earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today: call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for this week's Bowl Prediction segment. And bring in Marcus Fitzsimmons and Donnie Moore. Let's talk about the schedule, the football schedule this week, because this is really the first week of college football, and everybody's looking forward to it. Marcus, Navy, and Notre Dame are going to play today in Dublin, Ireland. I think the big story in this game is Sam Hartman, coming over from Wake Forest, and what a great career he had at Wake Forest. He's got 1 year remaining, and he took it, and he's with Notre Dame now. Going to be more pressure on him there, but by golly, You talk about Notre Dame saying, well, they hadn't really had that quarterback they really need, but is Sam Hartman the guy that can maybe put them over the top a little bit this year? They came back and finished the year last year, 9-4, I think, 9-4 after the horrendous start. So
he thinks he is.
Oh, yeah.
And,
that's all that matters.
That's a good chunk of it.
It sure is.
One thing, I love this game. I love it when they play in Dublin, especially when it's Notre Dame.
I've been there.
Love the venue. I was there earlier this summer, and they were already putting up some of the signs for it in July. I mean,
it's a great city.
It's a great city, but the thing that struck me is I'd always taken it to Ireland was more, part of the UK, and they would be like BBC. And no, if you gave them their option, they are much more interested in American and U.S. goings-on than what's going on in London. So I finally got to understand why they get a better crowd in Dublin for a college football game than we see for the NFL in London when they do those overseas games.
Yeah, they got 40,000 people traveling over there to see this game. But Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator, is now at Alabama, and he took a quarterback that was at Notre Dame down to Alabama with him. But Navy, Notre Dame, Navy triple option, Navy through the years giving Notre Dame fits. I guess you got to like the Irish going into this one, the first game.
I like the Irish to live it up in Dublin.
Vanderbilt, Hawaii. You like Vanderbilt tonight? I like Vanderbilt.
I like Vandy.
I like Vanderbilt. This was a heck of a game last year.
Yeah,
I like Vandy.
Yeah. Thursday, big game. Utah, number 14 Utah. The Gators go out there to play them at 8 o'clock on ESPN. I've got that game circled. I think that's a big one. Here early, we're going to find out about Florida.
We sure
We're
are.
going to find out how good Utah is. I'm going to pick Utah.
I like
out
the
there.
Utes.
Oh, definitely. I don't think Florida's going to be that good, and I think it's going
like
to show.
The Utes.
Nebraska is at Minnesota. Big Ten game right off the bat. You see that in the Big Ten some where you have a big game right off the bat. What do you like, Nebraska or Minnesota?
I'm taking Nebraska.
Donnie?
I'll take the Gophers.
I'll take the Gophers, too. You ready to blow that whistle?
Let's do it.
Got a little short on time.
That's
Blow it.
okay.
Hey, that'll do it for today's edition of the Goatee Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael back at Loud Media, our host of Blue Tick Tavern, and all our sponsors. For Donnie Moore, Marcus Fitzsimmons, and Troy Provo-Heron, until next Saturday, this is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, wishing everyone good sports.
And that's the final whistle. Join us again next Saturday for the Goatee Sports Page. The best in local sports since 1978.